Welcome back to Tools and Track.
Again?
We're back again, yeah. We were putting an engine in this for a reason. I can't even remember the reason now.
Aye, what is it we're doing here? I mean, I don't even know what this is anymore.
Yeah, so the engine mounts need welded. We know we were needing to do that, but I think now that we have this mighty MX-5 lump in, we should stop and take stock. Fancy a list?
Aha!
What colour are you feeling today, lads?
48. Black. What blue?
Blue.
I do like a blue. My bike's blue.
Your bike?
Aye.
Oh, that's
Bike
right.
bike, I got blue.
Is it an electric one?
Oh.
Not yet.
Oh yeah. We might need to make a new frame to be fair, because it's got a weight limit and I think I'm over it.
We'll just put some gussets.
Aye. Gussets.
Gusset the world. So the engine's in.
But,
What?
alternator.
Alternator, yes. So,
Couple options here. Number one, just ignore it and hope that it's not a problem. Break the alternator or break the steering rack.
what possible problems could you have with a metal alternator running an electrical current for the whole car next to a big metal steering rack going through it?
It should be fine.
Aye.
Or, remove it.
Yes. Moving it is probably the most obvious option. The other, less obvious option is to move the steering rack, but like I said, 4 episodes on steering, I don't want to with it any further.
It's such a shame, man, because it's so close. See if it was angled down a couple of degrees.
We have other options and we will explore them.
Indeed.
Those bad boys need welded. As you saw, the engine went in with them attached. It really shouldn't be doing that anymore. I need something a bit more permanent. The suspension, which we've probably done to death by now as well. I need to get the pickup points for the top of the shock absorbers welded in place properly, and then let that will allow the front end to touch the ground. Then leading us to, these guys need finished. Remember, we were going to have to do a wee bit of an adaptation just to make sure that they didn't shake around when they were mounted up, and we'll finish off the suspension mounts in the back as well. Then, the thing will stand on its feet, I hope. So, the diff still needs addressed. Remember, we bought poly bushes for it, and they're not in because I don't have monkey strength to put them in, so we'll need to make a tool to drive those in and then hang it. There's probably going to be all manner of f***ery, 3 more episodes worth of me out getting that properly mounted, and then we'll be there. Put the drive shafts in so that the diff is actually active on the back end, but also put the prop shaft in. That won't fit, of course, because this is a completely different car. So we can at least get the prop shaft sized up, chopped, and sent away to a specialist. That's right, I am not doing that myself. The prop shaft sits right where my arse lives, and if it does break, I would rather it didn't, and then land up my bumhole. So it's going to go and get properly balanced, chopped, sharpened, all that jazz. After that,
Well, exhaust, coolant,
no,
electronics.
you just touched on something. Exhaust. We've got the engine in. I would like to put a wee bit of spice, a wee bit of flavour in this, rather than just the usual building a car stuff. So, absolutely no need for it at this stage, but who doesn't love a wee bit of exhaust fabrication? So it's in, we know exactly where it's going to live, there's nothing stopping us. If I want to do a wee bit of a bonus round, we'll make an exhaust. So, shall we start at the top?
Yep.
Let's take an alternator off.
Forget how long this list is until you line it out. There's many things.
Oh yeah, this is just, you know, this is
Body, electronics.
this is just the winter season
coolant.
menu. I mean, this is going to be like down here. But,
Cool, man.
yeah.
Clutch line, throttle cable.
Coffee?
Coffee.
Well, we're away looking for an exhaust manifold because despite laying out the list and saying we're going to start the alternator, we've just skipped straight to the end to exhaust. But
There is a logic for this, to be fair. The alternator's probably going over at this side, where there's space away from the steering rack, which is also where the hot side is, so it makes sense that we attach. Ah, that's perfectly shaped.
Isn't it just? So, mate, that's not even going to give us a headache. Well, the other annoyance that I'm sad to report is I'll need to fabricate a cat into it.
Ah, of course, for the view. Can you not just use the cat that was on it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But it'll need to happen, which is depressing. What route would you like to take?
Oh, the EGR.
How the bloody hell did we get this off?
With great difficulty by the looks of things.
Really? I love how we're building a car and I can't put an exhaust manifold on. Let's skip to the end. Why is this a problem?
That stud is long as shit.
What stud is this thing? This stupid.
Oil measuring device. I love a quick 2-minute job.
A know. This was a throwaway thing. We were just going to like quickly do.
There you go, easy peasy lemon squeezy. It's definitely going to be a interesting challenge routing the exhaust. I'll need a fairly significant bend. It's 90 degree, well maybe not 90 but it's quite acute.
Well, you're not so bad yourself.
That's what I was thinking, yeah. Where the f is the floor of the exhaust going to go? Does it not need to come out? Because right now it's aiming at the passenger footwell.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
So it is quite an acute, yeah.
So I'm starting to wonder whether or not this manifold's going to work.
Yeah, I'm also wondering the same thing.
I'm actually starting to question whether or not we just go straight to...
Wow, that escalated quickly.
Well, it usually does with this project. I say it escalates quickly, it doesn't get resolved quickly though.
No.
I mean, if I was to just turbocharge this and then stick it through an IVA, I think there's no issue. I think it's going to be a problem. Would it cause me a problem sending a turbocharged car for an IVA?
What can possibly go wrong?
Not getting an IVA. It's probably the most obvious thing. But
Maybe just putting an exhaust in that doesn't route very well is probably the way to go to get the IVA done.
I mean, yeah. But at least we know. At least now we know where the alternator could live. So.
Aye, I mean there's plenty of space there.
Yeah, let's take an alternator off, and then we'll go through there. You're gonna take an alternator off for us?
Aye mate, let's do it.
Right, what do you need?
12?
The chances of a Japanese car needing an 11mm socket were
I know, I
pretty
thought it
slim.
was stretching, but it did feel close. So, if I remember right, that's the wrong way, we tighten or loosen this guy. So, we're going to loosen this off, and that allows the alternator to slide up and down.
The tongue isn't out. I don't think we're going to get this job done right until the tongue comes out.
That's fair, aye.
There we go. Give the belt a pull. That generally moves the alternator.
There you go.
See? Wow. So see when you moved that, the
Yep.
entire engine bedded down a bit. So
Nice.
I'm going to suggest that shaft is indeed contacting you quite a bit. Wow, you thought this was a tight job in an MX-5. Imagine all of this though with body panels on.
It isn't as bad as you think, honestly. Like, I am not particularly good at this sort of stuff, and this was before I met Tommy and I managed it, so it isn't the worst job in the world by any means.
Is that disconnected?
I think so.
Never gets old. Never gets old. Fuck is old. Dear. Both really solid. Oh dear.
Right, the
Yes.
pivot bolt is out.
That bolt is out, and I did remove the steering shaft just because it's in the bloody way.
It's coming your direction, there we go.
Whoop.
So much more room for activities.
Yeah, but you know the real fun? The really good part? Any hope of using a bracket from the old side and the new side is
No,
because
completely no.
it's all there. Right, let's get these front brackets welded on. So, what we need to do is some math to work out exactly how to get these centred. Now remember, I've binned the big Bible of bollocks. Right now we're going purely on measurement. So, how do we work this out? We use math. This is a representation of our upper arm mounts. These are 50mm in width and they're 243mm apart. So divide that by 2, 121.5. If we use that to project up here and then minus this 50mm to take a projection from the inside of that bracket to the middle point here, that's going to be 71.5mm in set. Don't forget though, we're mounting that to project to the outside of this new bracket. Now, haha. I nearly made a mistake there, because the new bracket's not 50, it's 42. So 42 divided by 2 is 21, which means that our actual inset to go from the inside of this bracket to the inside of that bracket is going to be 50.5. So how does that look in real life? A bit like this. Mark the line, use the line to measure in 50.5. And that is where the outside of that bracket needs to line up. So moving on to the rears, as we discussed in a previous episode, I want to try and make that bolt that's going to hold the lower of this arm on a bit more kind of stable. So what we're going to do is run in some cold rolled steel, 1mm thick. Oh, I'm pleased to announce it's tight. So that's going to sleeve in there okay. Now just to check, our bolt with enough persuasion will actually fit in the other side as well. Like I said, it's tight. I could probably do with dressing the edge on there and that'll go in a lot easier. I do have concerns that if I bolt this up, this tube in here will move with the bolt. I would imagine that once it's all nipped up, that's probably not going to be a problem, but I'm not going to take the chance with this. I'm going to dress the paint back off here and just run a weld up each side of this so that this tube will be a permanent part of the hub. I'm only going to do it on one side though, so if I ever need to take it off, we can just chop it and we'll be alright. That's the theory. Now it's time to talk about the rears. Now I've mocked this up and held it on with the G-clamp. I'm not being quite so particular about the positioning on this one. As long as it's going straight up and down, I'm going to be happy. However, there are some things to consider. I don't want it to go too low. You'll see that if I go beyond this level, I'm actually straight lining where the top wishbone connects onto the hub. And I don't think that level of anything is going to be useful in a corner. So we want to keep the maximum droop that this is going to hit to be about here. So, with that clicked in, now don't worry about this, I've been just fanning around, I've actually sized this up to 0, so if we need to add more height we can. This is more or less the maximum. So I'm going to tack this in and then see where it lands. Obviously for welding, we want the shiny new shocks out the way. Right, time for the metal glue gun. Rolls now. Yeah, we'll probably need one of these at some point. Yes. We're also going to need one of these, and one of these.
I have faith, but I'm now about 4 yards away from the camera.
So don't get excited guys, I had to pull all the plastics out to get access to the diff, which has been tucked away for,
some time. I remember when we burnt out.
We burnt these out and then failed miserably, so I did what I usually do with projects, which is go and throw it under the bench. But now we've got these pressed in, we can start.
And it's worth noting, like, you've seen how easy that was with a bench press.
Yeah.
If you are doing a job like this, just take the diff and the bushes to a garage and ask them to press it, because the mess we made trying just to get them out, let alone put them back in.
Really, what we need to do here is make sure that I don't just pull the sleeve back out that we pushed in.
We could just fabricate whatever it is you're going to put it in with.
I mean, yes, I will fabricate whatever it's going to go in with, but I'm talking test fit, you know, we just need to. Well, that's gotten a lot more congested, hasn't it? Wonder what happened there. Oh, that's right, me welding more shit in.
And the diff is in. What a difference that makes.
Ho, ho, ho. So next up we'll need to make some form of supported plate that will sort of hold that in a bit better than the crusty old shit that originally came off the MX-5. So skip to the end a wee bit. I've done days and days of research, R&D, you name it, making sure I've got exactly the right plate to go on the bottom of the diff. And I've come up with that, which is just a circular plate. Yeah, okay, I get it. I've also left this edge straight. I don't know why. Something tells me it might be good to have a weldable face just on the end of this in case I need it. If I don't, it's not a problem. I'll just round off the whole lot and just use it as a plate. But that'll hold the bottom of the diff in and keep the poly bush from slipping out. We're going to get around to this in the next episode because it's getting a bit cold and I'm getting a bit tired. But before we go, let's see how we did with this list. So from the top, the alternator, yes, we got it off, but we've not really found a solution to that. That's because I need to go away and have a wee think about how I'm going to engineer this, but we'll get to it shortly. Engine mounts, oh yeah, well, we've not really looked at welding them in, but I promise we'll do that in the next episode. Suspension, we did get something done though. We can tick that off. Finally, the suspension is sitting on and the car looks like it's going to roll okay at that. In the next episode, we're going to have to obviously put more weight on it, make sure we get roughly where it wants to be. But I'll be honest guys, I think we're just going to weld in these upper brackets where they sit. I like the design, I don't think it's going to give us any problems. Let's just send it. Also, rear hubs, boom, done. That has put that to bed in a very timely fashion. So the next thing we're going to look at for the rear hubs is the drive shafts, because the diff's in now, but we'll get to that in the coming weeks. Diff, yes, we got that in. That's more or less sorted. We know where it's going to sit, and in the next episode we can now look into prop. Yeah, well, yeah, shafts and prop shaft, yeah, we'll get onto that. Absolutely, that's going to be the next big thing on the list. Once we've got those in, the drive line's done, and we know we can transmit power, we can start getting onto the finer things in life, such as exhaust. Yep, I'm going to, again, much like the alternator, have to come up with some dreaming, probably order some lengths of pipe, and come up with an idea for how to do that. But we've got 50% of that list done in one episode. That's pretty good going for us, is it not? Also, you'll notice this panel we made up and then smashed with an airbag. I told you I'd find a good use for it. This is, up to this current date, a list of all the Patreons. You don't know what this is? Patreon.com/toolsandtrack, and you can get your name on this board here and be an awesome supporter of a project like this. That kind of wraps it up at the moment. If you've just joined us, like, subscribe, do all the bell thing below, because that's how we get bigger than what we are. And we'll be back next week with either Impreza or probably more low cost. Anyway, thanks for watching guys. See you soon. Even when you do the noise, it goes. So, yeah, what makes sense? There's a turbo in here somewhere.
I think the turbo's a fabulous idea. Let's do it. It's only going to increase the cost of the project by more than the project cost.
I forgot how good an MX-5 box was.
Ah, it's so good, isn't it? It was literally the best thing about my MX-5, the gear change. You looked like a stereotypical MX-5 owner there, to be fair. We Linda that works at the library, sitting on injury for the steering wheel.
Mate, I think I do.
Oh, now you definitely look like an MX-5 turbo owner. Backwards cap, vape.
Straight nothing in.
welded diff.
What a wicked game we play. Never felt this way.
I'm scared. I need an adult. You're singing that, aren't you, man? So,